We have some new details tonight about an investigation into two Phoenix police officers accused of misconduct.
This stems from a traffic stop where police force was used but never reported, and the officers didn't turn on their body cameras. Now a new report just out details what the people who got pulled over said happened. Michaela Castillo is in the studio tonight. Boy, these are some pretty brutal accusations.
They are, and this is the report that we got. We just got it about 30 minutes ago, but it's really giving us the first detailed account of what those victims say happened that night. And some of the allegations are pretty alarming. The report says these two people who appear to be police officers tased, punched, and pulled out the victim's hair. It's unclear whether these people were actually Phoenix police officers or impersonators, but now Phoenix police say they're investigating their own officers after force was used during the same traffic stop, but never reported.
A traffic stop has sparked a major investigation after two people reported being assaulted by what they thought were fake cops. According to this report obtained from Tempe police, officers believed 8 crimes were committed, including armed robbery, kidnapping, and impersonating a police officer. The two victims reported being pulled out of their vehicle and beaten, and described the suspect's vehicle as consistent with an older model police Tahoe.
There are a number of issues that are concerning to me based on the preliminary information provided by the police department.
Phoenix police confirmed the encounter happened near 19th Avenue and Broadway Road around midnight on August 5th. Department officials admit 2 officers used force during that stop, but those officers never filed a report and they never activated their body-worn cameras.
When officers, 1, failed to report the force, and 2, failed to record any activity that would either substantiate or refute the complaint, those are doubly concerning.
Police practices expert Michael Giannacco says basic reporting protocols are universal, regardless of the agency.
For very, very minor levels of force, like control holds, things like that, there's no requirement for many agencies to call a supervisor, but there is a requirement even when that level of force is used in most agencies to document the force that is used in your police report. Virtually all agencies, in my experience, say or tell officers, if you are in a engagement with a member of the public, you are required to turn that body-worn camera on, and it doesn't help with regard to trust in the community.
So a spokesperson for Phoenix police says both officers were immediately placed on leave pending a full investigation. There's also a criminal investigation, and thereafter there will be an administrative investigation. So again, a lot going on there. We just got that report about 30 minutes ago. So I know Molly is doing a full report tonight as well, but there's just a lot of questions around
It's a lot to wrap our heads around, because from the allegations from the people who got pulled over, they're making it sound like these 2 officers did something kind of off the books and, you know, really roughed them up big time. But are Phoenix police confirming that those 2 officers in this police report were the 2 who necessarily had that aggressive physical contact with these 2 suspects?
No, they are not. They have said that those 2 officers did a traffic stop, the same traffic stop. They said they used force. They didn't turn on their body camera, but they have not confirmed that they're the same people in the Tempe police report. So we don't know, but it's very interesting that there were 2 people posing as officers, and then now there are 2 officers with Phoenix police that used force.
They just haven't made that link yet. They haven't directly made that link between the 2. And normally Phoenix police will release body cam video within 2 weeks of an incident, but there's no video to release this time. So we know we'll keep following it, and we'll be following this later tonight. Michaela, thanks.